everybody. Welcome to Heal with Holly. And today we're continuing our series on heavy metals with Dr. Brimhall.
And I'm Joe.
And we're going to talk more about heavy metal detoxes and all the information that you need to know to answer the questions that you brought to us in Curiosity with Dr. Brimhall to get the word from the bird on the best way to deal with your heavy metal issues.
So, what are some of the best supplements people can use when they're going through this?
Perfect. Okay, awesome. I'm excited about this part because it's solution-based, right? And I like the philosophy of good, better, best, right? Because not everybody, everybody can make different decisions based upon what they know, what their finances are, and how bad they are, right? So, but you always can do something. So good, better, best, right? And we'll kind of talk on supplements here specifically, and I'm going to kind of talk a little bit to that. But supplements, also the same thing, good, better, best. The most expensive supplement is the one that doesn't work, okay? The most expensive supplement, the one that doesn't work, or the one that's going to create toxicity. So super, super important. So please, you have a budget. If you have a budget, whatever that might be, stick to that budget, but I'd rather do less of more expensive, the right ones, than more of least expensive and the bad ones, right? So please, whatever that budget is, do the best you can inside that budget and get the results. I'd please do that. It's super important to me. Okay, all right. So when it comes to a detox and talking about metals specifically, what you want to be able to do is you want to turn on genetic switches. That's, to me, is the foundation. So inside of every single one of our cells, it has an intelligence, and when it works best, it does its own job. Right? So your body wants to get well, always and forever wants to get well, as long as the switches are turned on. Okay. Part of that being is an emotional consequence I call of having a purpose. That if you have a reason to live, you'll almost do anything to do it. Right. So if you're not sure what your purpose is, or you don't have a purpose or something like that, and it could be your family, it could be just I want to live, or you're always going to get better if you have a reason to get better. So I just like to kind of touch on that because that's important to me. And then when it comes to the right supplements, okay, one of the biggest detoxifying things we have in our body is a molecule known as glutathione. Okay, glutathione and superoxide dismutase catalase. These are big, huge enzymes that are manufactured inside our cells when your body has what it needs to make it and the switch is turned on to make it. So for instance, they'll actually give people with Parkinson's IV glutathione because of which it helps them, okay? It's obviously way more effective to take glutathione, not take it, but to make it, okay? So you have a genetic switch inside your cells known as an NRF2 protein. You don't need to really know that, other than you have to understand that there are different foods that will turn that switch on and different product designed specifically to turn that switch on. So there's a difference between what I call supplementing and activating, all right? So when you're supplementing deficiency, you're literally doing that. You're trying to take and put nutrients in that you may not be getting in your diet. It's important. So broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, they have supplementing things. They actually give your body certain things you need to manufacture, but they also have an affinity for turning on switches that produce glutathione. Right, so it's super important, okay? But there are specific products out there known as NRF2 activators. This protein that when you turn it on, it manufactures glutathione inside your cells. Much, much, much more effective. And so when you're looking at homework of which product to take, and we can put some links on what we personally use. I want to kind of be general a little bit, but products that I personally use, the one that I and my family take and want to recommend, right, that are specific NRF2 activators or other genetic switch activators, super important, okay? That's the foundation. And then from a supplement standpoint, you want to make sure you're having a good omega-3 fatty acids when you're detoxing, okay? If you're vegan and plant-based, great, do it from an egg-based. If you're okay with fish, do a really high quality fish oil. But again, when you're looking at supplements on fish oils, please know about quality and sustainability. Like the ones that I use, like if you're vegan, I use a plant-based one from a very specific company. If you're a plant-based, then I'll use an animal product from fish oil from another company, just because I know that I can trace the bottle back to the boat where the fish was caught. Right. So there's certain things that are important to me in regards to that. Minerals are super important when detoxing metals. Heavy metals are basically a mineral, they're just toxic, okay? So for instance, like mercury and lead, right? They like to go to certain places and bind to certain receptor sites, and aluminum So you need certain minerals there, right? So you want to have a good mineral that's going to be absorbed. So magnesium, for instance, is one of those. Certain types of magnesium actually make your bowels loose because they're not absorbable. So they make you hold on to water so you poop. Other forms of magnesium are required for your liver to function and for your body to get rid of metals. So I'll put a couple links to the products that I like to use personally, and then you can, if you want to cross-reference, say, I don't want to use those, great. Cross those, look at the actual types of magnesium there. The other thing is what I call the absorbability. Okay, absorbability is huge. Okay, so a product's really not any good unless it's absorbed. All right, so at a foundation of everything that I do is it's affect gut function, improve gut function. So that's probiotics, prebiotics, the right things to help heal that up. And then some of the products I even use are actually what they call pre-digested, so that they're already broken down. So your body can assimilate those, right? So again, then from a general rule, you want a good mineral that has the magnesium, the zinc, the selenium, and one of the key things, for instance, if you've been tested and you know you have radioactive metals in you, which can happen. For instance, in me personally, I had thallium that showed up high on me. Okay, I grew up in a small town community, and there's a power plant right down from us. I grew up learning to water ski in that lake, and the water was used to cool down the power plant. So
Wow.
I was in a lake full of thallium, right? At that point in time, we didn't know about all this stuff. I mean, this was like, I'm 45. That was like when I was like 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Like that was when I was young, right? So, and as I dug into the research, oh, well, that's where that came from. But I'm like, where did it come from? And just, if you didn't swim in a lake, you might have that. So thallium or other radioactive metals like uranium. Okay, so if you live in Arizona or in the Southwest, this is a mining state. Okay, our groundwater has uranium in it. Okay, it does, just flat does. And a lot of other states that do it. A lot of places, if you go in for fun, go in and type in uranium mines in the United States. You'll be surprised at where they are. Okay, but minerals like boron are really, really important when your body's pulling out radioactive metals. So just so there's certain ones there. So I generally do a whole food multiple vitamin minerals because it has those different constituents in there, so that my body can pick and choose what it wants. If you're eating foods, like it's rare that you eat just magnesium, right? You don't go chew on a magnesium rock, but you eat foods that contain magnesium. Okay, so even your supplements that you're getting, they should come from whole food sources, ideally, right? They should come from whole food sources. And there's only a few manufacturers out there that really do that. And they test that. So that's important, because then they're going to absorb better into your tissues. So that's kind of an overview of supplements when it comes to metals. And I'll put a couple of things, kind of protocols that I would use if looking at what I would normally use to do that. But general rule, gut health, NRF2 activators, omega fatty acids, minerals. Okay.
And we're going to put links so that you guys don't have to, if you're taking notes and trying to remember all of this.
You can
We're going to put links below so that you can find, the best that's been researched and tested and make it easy for you.
Watch this too. That's fine. But the other thing is, like, there are chelating agents. So chelation is a word of claw-like, so it binds to metals, right? And so there are chelating agents out there that actually bind to these and pull these out. I mentioned one company for open link. Detoxing is one of them. It actually is a suppository. And I've used that with certain kids because you can put that in there. Suppositories aren't necessarily fun. It's one of the ways you can pull those out. You can do IVs of these certain chelating agents too. And I might use those in scenarios where somebody's got some severe dementia going on, right? Where it's like, we don't have time to just do supplements and wait. Like, we need to be more aggressive with that. And that's where we may recommend doing some IV chelation of something like that. That can be very effective. Those are different components that you can utilize to facilitate your body's ability. And then obviously the food we've talked about in multiples of these, and then we talked a little bit about water. I know we want to kind of touch on a little bit more today on that. I think there's one other supplement. It'll come back to you in a minute, but just know those are kind of foundational pieces. And if you're somebody that's got struggles in certain areas, just say you have hemochromatosis, right, and it's in your liver, then it's going to be more important for you to do then supportive nutrients for your liver pathways. Okay, or maybe it's bone. Okay. So this is a key component. Let's say it's in your bone and and you know there's lead and your bones hurt, then you need to do some bone nutrients at the same time. The other side of this is when you're trying to help an area clean up, you need to exercise that area. So for instance, if your bones are, you know, they say lead test high in you and your bones hurt all the time or whatever, you need to be doing some type of resistive exercise to compress that bone at the same time you're doing this stuff, because that compression is causing your body to lay down new bone and get rid of old stuff. Okay, if it's dementias or something like that, or brain stuff you're working on, you need to exercise that brain while you're doing this process. Not like to fatigue, but you want to do things that cause those cells to work. Because if those cells work, then they're going to actually have more nutrition coming in and get rid of old byproducts. And no matter where that is, whether that's, now I'm going to clarify, if that's your liver, that doesn't mean you go drink alcohol. That is not working your liver out. Okay, let me be super clear on that. That is not what I mean, right? But like, and when it comes to the bone, and I got to say that because the guy will tell you, oh, told me I had to go work my liver out, right? I had to go to the bar. I'm just gonna be
Especially
straight.
a guy from Wisconsin.
Yeah, I could imagine that actually.
So I just gonna be clarify on that one because I know that's gonna happen. But the same thing is, say you've got stuff going on in other tissues, like you want to exercise those or support them. So if the liver is one of those things, so yeah, they're gonna need to do a lot more foods that are liver based, like, you know, beets and even liver, right? You know, if you eat liver, those things have an affinity to help things to actually eliminate that out. Or there's stuff if your kidneys are involved, well, that's going to be obviously a lot more liquids and things like that to help facilitate that. Maybe adding some peppermint lemon to your water to help facilitate that out.
How about chlorophyll?
Chlorophyll, same thing. So chlorophyll is another great way. Chlorophyll is a natural binder, right? And you can do chlorophyll tablets and even liquid. And you put it in your tongue and you make your mouth all green. Kind of fun, right? But so those things you can do. Those are natural healing agents, which is why we just want people eating plants, right? Plant food, because plants are what pull the minerals out, right? That's their job, is to pull minerals out and also to clean up toxins out. So some of those plants you can actually ingest and they'll bind to that and carry it out.
So yeah, I actually used the mint chlorophyll in tea when my kids were young. They loved it.
It tastes better.
It tastes better. You know, it needs to be, you can make it be a pleasant experience for yourself or your kids. And as Joe knows, I'm all about having a pleasant experience with health. I actually don't believe that it needs to be, you know, debilitatingly nasty in order to do healthy things and feel good. And we have a difference of opinion on that, but that's okay.
I have to talk to my dad about that. His rule was, if it tastes good, spit it out. It can't be good for you. That's literally what he told us growing up.
Well, and for me, you know, I was told as a kid, well, you just got to take your medicine. So like
Yeah.
now as I'm on doing the different supplementing, or if I put together a juice and it's nasty, it's like, well, I'm just taking my medicine. Like,
Must be really good for me.
right?
Right.
And nothing, you know, one of my other favorite sayings is, nothing tastes like good health feels.
And that's really great, except that, see, I believe that if you're having a miserable experience and it stresses you out and you're in fight or flight over whatever it is that you're about to drink, that your body's probably not getting that much out of it. So being able to make it pleasant in whatever way possible, y'all just need to call me if you actually are like me and you want to enjoy your situation. I will go to bat for you any day of the week.
I have a feeling we could get a good debate going on, but I think it could be both, right? And there are times you
can make it pleasant though. I mean, you really can. You can dress it up or hold your nose or think about something positive. I mean, there's a way to get through it.
So you guys are a good combination that way. Super important.
The bottom line is that the emotional aspect plays a role. So whatever story you're telling yourself, whether it's like me or whether it's like Holly,
right,
it matters.
That's true.
Sure,
That's
sure.
true. So one of the things that we want to talk about is some technologies that people can use, because there are some really cool products out there to sort of facilitate moving through this process quicker and get your energy back and feel awesome. And we want to talk about those with you today.
Cool. So I was just thinking about this a lot. So the mining industry is drastically changed. Remember, the mining industry's job is to strip metals out of the ground. And they have used all sorts of techniques, from burning metal to chemical agents to pull it out to electrical signals to pull it out, right? So why not do the same thing in humans? Why don't we use chemistry supplements, right, to facilitate the binding to? Why don't we use other techniques, right, like sweating, burning, right, sweating it out, okay? And why don't we use electrical signals to do it too, right? And guess what? We can. So I've used saunas for a long, long, long time. They're becoming super popular now. Even in Arizona, yeah, I know it's hot, but we've had saunas in our office for years. And specifically infrared saunas. Infrared saunas, when you read that book, Tired Toxic, we talked about in the first video we did, she talks about how every person on the planet should be doing sauna 3 times a week. That's literally what she says in her book. That everybody on the planet should be doing infrared saunas 3 times a week, right? Because that sweating action and use infrared heat to heat from the inside out, it causes your body to be able to eliminate those out. Okay, super important. So when you go to buy a sauna, again, we'll put a link on the one that I've used for years, and you want to do your homework no matter what you do, because you can sometimes find them online or someone's reselling them on OfferUp or whatever. But it's super important that you're looking for the ones that are like this sauna is. The reason being is how the elements are heated up, but also the wood that it's in. Like you don't want to be having a treated wood sauna that smells like, nasty turpentine and trying to detox yourself. That defeats the purpose, right? So it's a dry sauna. So when you're looking at heavy metals, dry saunas are more effective. Generally speaking, you can do wet saunas, right? Wet saunas are not what I would recommend for someone with lung issues. When anybody's been in a wet sauna and that steam goes up, it is super hard to breathe. So not ideal, okay? And when the lungs get wet, they don't do well. That's why pneumonias and all that, like they don't have them do stuff that makes their lungs wet. So infrared saunas you can actually use as a way to facilitate the dumping of metals out. Okay, so I love saunas. I'll put the link to one that I like. And when you're doing the checking saunas, make sure you look for stuff that's not the treated wood. Like you do not want chemicals going into you. Because you heat it up, it's just going to go in faster. Okay. The other thing that we use a lot of is we use foot baths, have for years. Right. And I know there's some debate on those, and I'll just kind of tell you what I know about them. So literally my dad, he has a sauna in his garage and a foot bath and a laser. So picture this. My dad's got his sauna. I should get a picture and post it, right? In his sauna, he's got educational tapes he's listening to, right? So he's cleaning his mind. He's sweating. He's got his foot in a foot bath, and he's got his laser where he's putting light energy into different parts to help facilitate the detox. That is literally what he does weekly. Okay, to facilitate. So we've learned the more right things you do at a time, the better. And why he's in there, guess what? He's drinking minerals and stuff like that to help facilitate that. So that's a routine. So in our office, that's what we do. Sauna with the foot bath, I use a very specific one. When they first came out, I saw it. My dad's always getting different tools, and it's like, oh, this is super cool, this or that. And I'm like, oh, seriously? That thing is wonky, right? We used to joke, we're gonna have to find something to be weird about because everything we're doing is considered normal now. But I remember the first time I saw it, so that just doesn't make sense, right? I mean, like I can see it, yeah, but like, can that really work, right? So I started doing my homework. So if you guys are curious, go look at how mining is done now. They're using electrical signals to pass through different things that causes metals to bind out, right? Metals have a negative charge and a positive charge, depending on which one. So all your heavy metals like lead and mercury, they're all positive charged. They're going to be attracted to a negative ion. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, the same thing is opposite when it comes to things like fluorine and chlorine. They're a negative charge. So sodium chloride, sodium is a positive charge, chlorine is a negative charge, they combine and it makes salt. Okay, so in these foot baths that are designed, the ones we use, they cause a positive polarity to run for a while and then a negative polarity to pull different metals out. So years ago, we did a study with another company and said, hey, does this stuff really work? Because people were asking me, I said, well, I think it does. I see symptomatic improvement with people. And I feel, and I do some palpation, their legs are really sore. And after they were out, they felt great. So I'm like, well, it's doing something, right? We knew from an acupuncture meridian thing, it was send electrical impulses that would improve that. So we tested the water, right? So and when we tested the water, here's what we found out. We tested the water by itself before you did anything. And guess what? There are metals in your water. Unless you use the distilled water, you have heavy metals in your water. Okay. Like every single one of us. Okay. Doesn't matter. And if you want to go to your water supplier, whoever they are, and ask them, can I get a fact sheet on what metals are in our water? And they'll give it to you. Now it's in part
Those tests are public knowledge. I mean, that you can ask for it and they have to test the water, and see, that's available for you.
And what's interesting about it, when I was learning about that too, was, this level is okay.
Yeah. So there's acceptable levels, right? There are acceptable levels. And just like in school, it's acceptable to get a D and pass the class. It is. It's acceptable. Is it ideal? If you go to your doctor and you say, look, would you rather your doctor get a or would you rather your doctor get a D minus? Like, I mean, I don't know, right? But so it's acceptable. But the reality is there's certain metals, they are not supposed to be in your body. No acceptable level. So, and again, I'm grateful that we have the sanitation that we have and the water supply system we have, and it's so much better than it was years and years ago. But just know what's in there. So when we did the water testing and you test the water by itself without doing anything, guess what? There are metals there. When you did it with and you ran the machine without anybody's feet in it, guess what? You found more metals that showed up because the device that goes in has some metals in it. So you see that come in the water. When you put people's feet in it, very interesting thing happened. You would see a higher level of the heavy metals, the lead, the mercury, the cadmium, the radioactive ones would be in the water with people's feet in it. But what you would see, what's really fascinating to me, because there is zinc in some of the devices, right, that you run in the water, the zinc levels would literally drop sometimes in the water when the people's feet are in it. So the body can selectively absorb or reabsorb.
Mm.
Okay. When I've been using the ionic foot baths, and when I first started studying them, I, the same type of thing, like did the research online, and there was like kind of this conflicting information, like, are they good or are they bad? And then I remember having a talk with a guy I had met in a marketing event, and he had talked about how his wife had opened up a little ionic foot bath in some small city in Missouri. And she had started with, just 2. And it was kind of like the grounding story of the guy in Alaska, where like that small community, now every single person started grounding their house. And in this place in Missouri, everybody was coming in for ionic foot baths because everybody was feeling so much better.
So it definitely had an effect. And if you look at the science of it, there's science behind it, right? But I've done the water testing, so I know what it really does stuff. I've seen it clinically, but energetically speaking, we're energetic beings, right? And so the right foot baths, again, there's different ones. You can pay $200, you can pay 5,000, right? So again, I'll send you what I like to use, but do your homework, right? But they do have an effect. So that's one of the things that I like to use as a foot bath. I like people to exercise. I really do. I like them to do yoga, to stretch and stuff like that. So ideally, when people come in, we'd have them stretch and do all their therapies first. And then I'd have them do the foot baths in the sauna. Why that laser? Laser is another thing that I use a lot is light therapy. When you put a certain sunlight hits you, like your body produces vitamin D. So every frequency of light can make a positive impact on your health or a negative impact depending on what it is. And so we'll use that to facilitate, to improve the body's functioning in certain areas. And so I'll use that a lot.
We love our laser. Yeah. Somebody's always using the laser in this house, and you can use the laser on your animals too.
Yeah. So laser is light therapy, but to targeted areas, right? And we use that in medicine to X-ray something, right? To look at something. We also use it to radiate things, to kill things, but you can also use certain wavelengths of light to heal. So it's super powerful. It's another one of the tools that we use a ton of.
So you had mentioned the IV therapies with like glutathione. Like, what are your thoughts on the IV therapies with like vitamin C, Myers cocktail, ozone?
Yeah. So each one of those, that's the chemical side of things. So any one of those have an effect, right? And to me, sometimes they're powerful. So if I was really, really sick or something like that, and I had to, let's just say I got sick from something, I'd go get a Myers cocktail and a vitamin C, right? Because I can get a whole big quantity of vitamin C into my body right? Not much more so than my digestive tract can handle. And so I personally like to use them, right? We have a nurse practitioner that works out of this office here, and she does those, right? Glutathione is another one of those things that you can do. It's just short-lived, right? So your body's going to burn it through really quick. But if I have somebody that's really, really sick and they need a lot of extra support, then this is where they can be very, very, very beneficial to have people do that. They're not necessarily inexpensive, right? But being sick is really expensive. So if it's within your budget and you really want to aggressively go after things, then that's a great thing in addition that you can do. Vitamin C or the Myers cocktail, which is a combination of vitamin C and some B vitamins, or that's called the glutathione push. And there's even what's called chelation, where they'll actually run a chelating agent, so it binds to metals and pulls that out. That's another thing that you can do. So they definitely have an effect. But again, as you're looking around out there, ask people to find a physician. I mean, it's so popular in Arizona. There are people that are IV medics, like they literally just come to your house to do IV bags.
I've heard about that. I've actually seen it advertised. And so, like, let's just say there's somebody watching this and they're in Peoria, Illinois, or wherever, and they're saying, well, I want to know more about this, and how can I find someone? How can they find someone in their area that can do these IV therapies? What kind of a search do they need to be doing?
And what do you think of some of these places that do the IV therapy, like they don't kind of talk about the other stuff. They just kind of give you a big price tag and you need to keep coming in and doing the IV therapies over and over and over again because it is short-lived.
Yeah. So again, IV therapies, in my mind, you could do one a month as part of your health routine, right? There's a difference between having a maintenance of a health versus I'm trying to correct something. Okay. So I brush my teeth every single day, but I don't go to the dentist every day. Brushing my teeth is part of my health routine. Okay. But part of my health routine is also seeing my dentist and hygienist every so often. So for me, seeing a chiropractor and getting adjusted routinely is part of my health routine. So some people, because of the budget they set aside to maintain their health or improve their health, like they may do the Myers cocktail. If you're trying to actively do something, like you may do a series of them, right? Because you have a health issue you're trying to really clean up. So as I say, your house is really dirty and you want extra help, and you're more worried about time than you are finances, then that's where it comes in. So I'm not one that thinks you have to do it forever. Now, it's something that would be beneficial, practically, absolutely. If there's situations where maybe somebody's in a health crisis. So my daughter, one time, she had a dance performance coming up, and literally she was not feeling well. And I was working on her or anything, but she's the one of the top competitors, and she had to be there. Like, it wasn't an option. I didn't want her to go down really sick. So what I do? I said, well, what else can I do? Well, I'm going to adjust her. I'm going to put on a nutrition, and I had somebody come do an IV with her because I was just trying to just go get that one more thing. Right. So if you're looking for good sources, you have to do your homework because the prices are variable. It'll be basically by region, but they should be pretty close. I mean, you're going to be paying anywhere from like $100 to $175, give or take, per IV, right? Depending on what you put in it. If you have to find someone doing it for like $50, I'd be really leery about like what's in it, right? And how much and what the quality is. And just ask some questions. Ask people that that have gone and had it done. But they're normally about 125 to 150 is normally what you'll see ballpark wise.
And what does somebody need to put in the search? If they're searching for that, how does somebody find someone who does that in their area?
So just type in like Myers cocktail, IV vitamins. That's some of the things you would look for. Glutathione IV. That's some of the things you would want to look for.
One of the things that I've always, for the price consciousness of going through this, one of the things I've always recommended to people has been, one of the biggest bangs for your buck can be biofeedback. What are your thoughts on the biofeedback or neurofeedback, or even like the brain tap?
Yeah, so I love brain stuff. Like I just have a fascination with brain. So just like what I was saying earlier, like if you've got some stuff going on where you think you're detoxing your bone, right? You need to do resistive exercise to compress that bone. If you've got stuff going on with brain, I think biofeedback, neurofeedback, brain tap. So many of us exercise our bodies and we don't exercise our brains. And to have things like the brain tap, to have things like neurofeedback or biofeedback, it's one of the best ways to, make it simple to train your brain, right? And really yoga, guys, with breathing is a type of biofeedback. You're feeling your body, you're feeling your breathing, you're paying attention to your thoughts, right? The other thing we're talking about allows you to do it just with like with an app or with a tool, but can't be absolutely life changing, because where you are right now emotionally is a result of years of you believing the story you've been telling yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's gone on in your life are not wounds; they're actually what give you strength. So we got to learn how to retrain those the way you're seeing the world, and these type of technology allow you to retrain those loops, and they're just so powerful, so powerful. So I love it. I use them every day with people.
Okay. And then, I mean, the other way that you had kind of said was you know, the electronically, like frequency wise, right? So, you know, there's a Wellness Pro Plus, which is frequencies. There's Rife devices. There's the Healy. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there are lots of different ways to facilitate the way in which your body communicates through these subtle pathways. You know, like the Healy's one, I use what's called an ASA. There's biomeridians, cold laser therapy, right technology. It's a way to retrain the electrical signals inside your body. To me, it's I would recommend everybody use one, right? Because it's a way you can work on that part of your body that most people don't think about, and it can be so valuable to so many people. I personally use cold laser a lot with that. The other machine that I have is the Healy that I use with that to personally work on that. So just depends on what I've learned is there's not one thing that's going to affect everybody, right? And so there are certain people that, for whatever reason, the way their body functions, like they just resonate better with a certain tool, device, or even nutrient. So what I like to do is combine as many things as I can, right, that we can incorporate into their lives daily. Like if I'm going after a target, like really get into to a new level and I get them there, then I got to find out what is their thing they've got to do to help maintain that and continue forward on their own. That's why, to me, it's nutrition and the vitamins and minerals and activators are something everybody can do every single day and fit within their budget, right? IVs may not be there. That's not what you're gonna do all the time. Exercise, yoga, behavioral therapy, good life coach, like that stuff like that. That's something that may be in there for a short period of time, but then maybe they find ways to maintain it on their own, but then periodically check back in. But I love all the devices. Same with the water that we're drinking, right? The water you drink and you shower in matters, right? So you want to pay attention to your water softener system, even a whole house system, if you can put that in. You know, just different ways to make sure the water that you're bathing in, you know, drinking, eating, cooking in, is as clean as possible, so we're not getting exposure to chemicals that way. And there's some different really good systems that you can use out there, depending on what your budget is. If you're in a rental house, you probably won't do that, but there are different things you can apply to your faucets and stuff to help. If you're like in your dream house, well then let's make it your dream environment house. Like you may want to put some time, energy, and money into maybe different parts of that to eliminate some of the exposure you have.
And a lot of those companies have financing. I did the whole house water purification system. They did the ozone on the washing machine, and there was like a whole package. It was like $150 a month, but you didn't have to use any laundry detergent because they were using ozone for your clothes. And so like there are ways, you know, to get what you need and have it actually save you money. Yeah. So, you know, I would be open to it and just explore and see. There's a lot of new technology out there. It's really worth it.
So there's just different things that we can give you, like what we do. That I'm like, I'll tell you, here's what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. What you have to do, it's something you can't do.
Right.
So, I mean, with your own water system, are you into like the negative hydrogen water, the alkalized water, the structured water? What are you doing?
All the above, you know. And so personally, my house, whole house filter, right, in my house, right. You know, our water here is phenomenally hard, like very, very hard water, right? So I have not only the whole house, but I have RO system to try to do that, right? I'll drink oxygen water a lot of times too. So, but I don't have an oxygen machine on mine, but I have to go pick up that water from somebody else that I know, right? So, and there's a couple of water plants near us that I can get some of that stuff. I personally don't do the alkalized water a whole lot. I had a machine for a long, long time. you know, people want, I'm okay with alkalized water. I don't want people drinking that when they're eating though, with their food, because your stomach needs to be acidic when you're eating. So after exercise, I like the alkalized water. But I don't do that every single day. For certain people, that does really matter. Um, for them, if they have skin conditions, I'll have them pick some out. We have some really good places out here that have like the big alkalizers and ozonators, and so I'll have them just go there and pick up 5 gallons at a time and use it that way.
I had the alkalized water for quite a while too, and I really loved it. At the same time, I also had lived in an area with really, really hard water, and the hard water just kept destroying the machine in a sense. It was like filter after filter, replace the machine, and it just got a little exhausting and expensive.
So I do good, better, best, right? In a perfect world, we would live on an island and someone would grow my food and somebody would cook for me. I would have no pollutants. It'd be fantastic. But that is not the bubble called Earth, right? So then you got to like say, okay, what can I do and then live my life the best way possible, eliminate my exposure, do the things daily to facilitate that. One thing I didn't mention, but I need to mention, the homeopathics are really critical that you can use. It's a very simple thing. There's homeopathics made to help your body channel and eliminate things like the halogens, the chlorine, fluorine, and bromine, and the metals, right? Years ago, when we first started doing this, we made all the metals individual, like arsenic and lead and, thallium, and right? Now we found a way to combine all those. So it's just 2 bottles, so we can use those and have people every single day eliminating those in the body.
You're going to put a link for that below, right?
Yeah, but that's super easy. Anybody can do. Like there's some things that's like everybody every day. Like getting sunlight, doing your stretches, homeopathy. There's some stuff you can do every day. To me, like the brain tap is like every person every day too.
Brain tap is incredible. The thing that I love about brain tap, which obviously, Heal with Holly is partnered with brain tap. Yeah. The thing that I love about brain tap is that all you have to do is relax and put your headset on. It still works even if you fall asleep. It's just totally about just relaxing and going with the flow. And it's an incredible brain training experience. So
the body wants to heal. And that's the reality. The body wants to heal. And if it's in a stress state, it has a really tough time doing that. And so taking all these things, doing these things is helpful. But probably the biggest thing you could ever do for yourself is find a way to pay yourself first, energetically and monetarily, so that your body wants to be better. Like that's such a key element.
So Switzerland, has kind of said homeopathics are top notch. They took it and put it into law and stuff like that. But here in the United States, homeopaths can be highly criticized. So do you see that? Do people meet you with resistance about homeopaths, and how do you explain that to people?
That's a great question. I mean, homeopathics have been around for like a long time, like in Germany and Switzerland. It's one of their primary sources of treatment. United States is a little slower than that. So, most people that come to see me, they're already looking for solutions outside the norm, right? So I don't have a lot of resistance from it personally. Years ago, people would question me a lot more, right? But now you see homeopathics teething formulas in Walgreens, right? And so it's pretty standard now. Homeopathics, the easiest way to describe homeopathic is is basically energetic imprints in a bottle, right? So it's messages in a bottle, right? So most people don't realize that when they eat anything, it's not only what you're eating that's doing, it's the messages that's giving your body that's doing things. So if I am exposed to a virus, right? The body sees that and says, this is not normal. And then it goes to work tagging it and getting rid of it. So the next time it sees it, it gets rid of it faster. When you eat a food let's just call it a Jolly Rancher. And it sees that thing, it's like, whoa, okay, we got sugar in this. I can use that for fuel, but what are the red dye stuff? Like that stuff, like I can't, that's not good for me. So it's like, it has to bind it to something to get rid of it. Okay. But if you get enough of it and it has an abnormal immune response to it, it might cause symptoms that make your brain not feel good and be foggy. Mm-hmm. So the things you eat actually cause messages. So homeopathic is understanding those frequencies and how they communicate with the cells and what the cells, what they do. And they utilize those to trigger the body's natural inborn mechanisms to heal and repair.
I love that explanation. Thank you.
Welcome.
So is there anything else that we feel like we need to cover in this one before we, wrap up?
I guess for myself, I started using a technology in ST8, and it was originally a light beam generator and a biomat. You mentioned the infrared heat. So, being able to sleep on it pretty much nightly. And you mentioned how our body heats up, so I like that idea. Like naturally we have a fever and our liver is, doing its thing and heating up. So that's what kind of made me fall in love with the biomat. And, the difference, I guess I've always looked at it from an infrared sauna is that in order to get the infrared to penetrate that much further into my body, I'd almost have to like put my body up against the wall of the infrared sauna versus laying on the mat. It's allowed to penetrate. Any thoughts?
Yeah. So what we're talking about is frequency medicine. Mm-hmm. All this is frequency medicine. Some frequencies you feel like in the form of heat, and some frequencies you don't feel like X-ray, right? And just like sunlight, you don't feel your body produce vitamin D, but it's a frequency of light that's causing a reaction in your skin to produce vitamin D, right? So what's really cool about this era we're living in is we're understanding that frequencies matter. And we can apply that technology to different things. So biomat is a way to use frequencies that should be natural for the body. And some you can hear. They'll use acoustic noises to stimulate certain reactions in the body, and some you don't even hear, some you don't even feel. And so I love things like biomat. I think we're going to see more and more of this technology roll out. Here's the flip side that's really, really important to me on this is there are frequencies that heal and there are frequencies that kill. Okay. And I don't mean kill like it's going to kill you today. Okay. There are a lot of frequencies we don't know what they're doing. For instance, when it comes to the way in which we communicate. All right, so here we are, like my computer is hooked to nothing, yet I can see your faces. All right, so somehow my visual space is being transmitted over to Florida and back, right, where you guys are, through wavelengths of energy that we cannot see. Now, there's going to be technology that's all around us, radio waves, Wi-Fi's, 5G, 4G, whatever. They all have an effect on us. So we need to understand how to coexist in that and also understand which ones may be healthy and which one, and how to protect ourselves from ones that are not. Okay. And also how to utilize the ones that are good. And very, very important in my world. And so that's a whole nother topic, right? But I think it's important to note that. That's why when you think about something in your head, well, that's kind of weird. Well, guys, what's really weird is I can pick up this phone and I can email somebody in Japan within seconds. And it's not attached to anything. Are you kidding me? And then they can print it out. What? Okay. But we just do it, but we don't think about it. So frequencies, which are communication signals, just think of them that way, have positive and negative influence. And we want to find the ways in which we can harness that power to help us be more healthy and recognize maybe those things that could be damaging. Like, because remember years ago, they thought smoking was good for pregnancy. Like that was advertising.
I think they even told women to smoke or drink a beer when they were nursing because they thought it helped them relax and let their milk down.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is that we don't know everything, right? And right. So and we may say things on this video, we find out years later it wasn't right. And my apologies if that happens, right? I'm doing the best that I know with what I currently know. And just the way I practiced 20 different times, 20 different years, because I'm always learning. I just was very blessed to have a father that was, taught, and we just taught to learn as much as we possibly could and incorporate new things all the time. But we don't have all the answers. I'm hoping, and I know that the things that we've given you are solution-based, things that you could incorporate today that matter and will impact your life if you incorporate them, both from what you eliminate and what you add. And focus on the 20% that gives you 80% results. That's super important. Don't try to do the 80% that give you 20% results. right? And that's why the things that we're talking about in my mind are the 20%. The things that I've used for 20 plus years. I've been teaching for 25. I've been around my dad 45, right? Like, it's not everything, but it's something, and it's way better than what you're currently using. So start incorporating those. So that's kind of my summary.
I thought of two more technologies. Pulse electromagnetic frequencies, PMF, like a beamer, and hyperbaric chamber oxygen.
Ooh, hyperbaric oxygen. That's something everybody's talking about. Good one.
So again, looking at how do you, in all these systems, here's what I want people to know. Everything we're talking about are not magical. What they are is they turn on the magic, right? Your body is the magic. So PMF, pulse electromagnetic field therapy. I've had one for I don't know how many years now, 15 or 20, right? Great technology to facilitate the body's natural inborn ability to heal and repair. Phenomenal technology, right? To facilitate that. The same thing with, what did you just say?
Hyperbaric oxygen.
Like my dad had a hyperbaric oxygen in the state of Arizona. Chiropractors, we can't have them in our office.
Wow.
Right? We could used to have colonic machines, we can't anymore. Who knows, right? Whatever.
Right.
But my dad had one in his house because he wanted one for him. And we've referred out for that for years. It just, again, oxygen is the magic. Hyperbaric just allows you to get more in the body.
Right. It's one of the great, like, brain treatments. If you've had concussions and brain issues, it's incredible for brain healing. So
there's going to be more technologies that happen. We'll share and kind of post what we like. It's not an end all be all, but just know everything you combine is not 1 + 1 = 2. A lot of times it's 1 + 1 = 10. Right? So when you combine,
synergistic, we're electric synergistic beings.
Super awesome. I'm excited for you guys. Excited. You're going to have some tools and hopefully some good knowledge, and go out and dig, but use good resources, pubmed.gov, things like that. Look it up.
Well, thank you again for your time. This has been a great conversation. Really enjoyed it. And we've got one video left in this little series, and it's about the dental fillings. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, like, comment, share, give us your thoughts. What are you doing? What are you currently using? Do you have a favorite supplement? We'd love to hear from you. We're always checking things out. And as Dr. Brimhall mentioned, we're all always learning. So let us know. Talk to you again soon.